Shalom, shalom, it's the brother Kadash. I want to start off by giving all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Kakadash. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone. Peace, blessings, honors to all the brothers. It is true that one of the apostles uploaded a video called Strange Laws. So this is kind of going in also on those things. Even though these laws are strange in the Western world, all around the rest of the world, some of these laws, these different nations keep these laws, and it's not so strange. It's a normal thing. So a lot of people in the Western world, when we are explaining the laws that is found in the Bible to them, they kind of get in their feelings about things, because they've been Westernized. So you have to get out your feelings, when you start breaking down the truth and what you learn. You have to come in like a babe. You have to forget everything that you were taught, and pretty much you have to be built back up. That's why you put on a new body. You start learning the things of old, and coming back the righteous way to live. So this is a documentary, and it's on the Saudi Arabia family. Sometimes I'll be watching them because I like how they got their order. They wear their garments, they got their laws and stuff like that. It's kind of like a glimpse into how our kingdom is going to be ran, but just on a way lower level, because our kingdom is going to be glorious. But when I say it's like a glimpse, I'm saying it because, like, when you look at it, they got 30,000 princes in their family, kind of like the elect. We going to have 144,000 elect. You see what I'm saying? Stuff like that. They wear their garments. We gonna wear garments. They're able to have multiple wives. Marrying women at a very young age, which there was a big uproar about that. Marrying women at a very young age. So we're gonna pull some of these things and prove it just through watching this video, just to show you that there's other nations that do stuff like this, and it's normal. They put people to death for not following their laws. So when the Bible says they should surely be put to death, people take that like, no, that's old. We don't do that no more. You see what I'm saying? But I'm trying to show you that there's still nations that do that stuff to this day.
Salman were both the sons of King Abdulaziz, the founder of modern-day Saudi Arabia. King Abdulaziz reportedly had 22 wives and 46 children. For most families, this seems like a crazy amount of family members, but for the members of the House of Saud, this is actually pretty normal. You see, most of the men are allowed to have several wives, and their wives have an incentive to have as many babies as possible.
And like they said, for most of the men, this is pretty normal. So showing you that these laws is normal. This is the normal way of living. That's why they're living that way. They haven't really been westernized yet, even though they're allies with Western, But the thing is, it's like they say, he said the man had 22 wives. You know what I mean? And they said most of the men got several wives, and this is a normal thing. And the women's had an incentive to have children. Why? Because they're going to get cash benefits. They're going to get wealth by the more children they have. But it's the same thing as with our laws. The more children that a woman have, like look at Leah and Rachel, they had a lot of children. And their maids, they had a lot of children. Jacob had what, 4 wives. You see what I'm saying? So it is a center because you use those child to grow up and they become maidens. Like your young, if you have a daughter, she become like a maiden. That's bringing wealth. That's bringing labor to your family, your son, into they're old enough. Then they go out and build empires and just add to the family empire. And that's how you build up, build up. You see what I'm saying? So there is a center to have more children, to have a bigger family. And what's going to end up happening is the family's going to be more wealthy if everything's done in order and right. You see what I'm saying? When your wife, when your daughter gets married, depending on how it happens, which we're gonna read, the man that marries her sometimes has to pay the father. That's bringing in money to the household. So yes, there is a incentive to have more kids and stuff like that, to have sons, so you could be able to pass down your inheritance through. But like they said, that man had 22 wives. It's people in the Western saying, "Oh yeah, he's wicked." He's wicked. If people over there saying he's wicked, he got 22 wives. That's against the law. No, man, people do this. So in the kingdom, yes, we're going to have multiple wives. This is Deuteronomy chapter 21, verse 15. This cuts everything. This is the law. It says, the first 5 books, right? The Torah, the first 5 books of the Bible, it says, if a man have 2 wives. What do it mean if a man has 2 wives? That's in the law. Is it Moses' law? No, it's the Lord's law that he gave to Moses. Remember, Moses didn't have all this stuff until the Lord met him on the mountain and gave him this stuff. And then he came down and gave it to Israel. So it comes from the Lord. You see? So if a man had two wives, one beloved and another hated, and they have borne him children, both the beloved and the hated, and if the firstborn son to be of hers that was hated, so did it say he's going wicked, he should be put to death if he has two wives? It don't say that. You can't show me nowhere in this Bible where it says if a man has more than one wife, he should be put to death. If a man has more than one wife, he should be punished. If it's unbiblical, if it's unrighteous, and it's wicked for a man to have more than one wife, then show me one scripture that says that gives a punishment for that man that has more than one wife. We got a punishment if man lay with man. We got a punishment for adultery. We got a punishment if you steal. You got to pay back so much more. We got all these different punishment for if you do these sins, but we can't find no punishment for if a man has more than one wife in the Bible. Show me a punishment that goes with it. That's because there is no punishment, because it's not a wicked thing. It's a righteous thing. Once again, verse 15, if a man has two wives, one beloved and one hated, and they have borne him children, both the beloved and the hated, and if the firstborn be sons of her that is hated, then it should be when he maketh his sons to inherit that which he has, that he may not make the son of the beloved firstborn before the son that hated, which is indeed the firstborn. Right, because the firstborn, it don't matter if I got a wife that I hate and I got my new wife that I love, my inheritance still goes to my firstborn son if my firstborn son was from the woman I hated. So I can't just put my firstborn son to the side because me and his mother is on bad terms. He still has my inheritance. That's what that's talking about. You see? Here, Salaki. Let me pause this. That's what that's talking about. So, like I said, like they said, it's a sin to have children. Let's let it play a little bit more.
More babies equals more money that's paid out to their individual family every single month. It can be quite profitable for some royal family members to have dozens of kids, but we'll get more into that a bit later. King Salman's private life is a bit of a mystery. He has reportedly been married 3 times, and some sources believe he had 13 children as of the year 2015. With so many siblings, children, and grandchildren of his own, it's really no surprise that there is a lot of jealousy and rivalry in the House of Saud. Many of the thousands of descendants of the...
Salaki, let's let that play there. I'm going to skip through it. All right, it's right here actually in the same part, the next part that I want to get to. So we kind of got, showing you that it's normal in different places of the world for a man to have multiple wives. It's just you being westernized if you're over here in the Western world. Now let's go to adultery.
Line or betrays the family, the House of Saud never hesitates.
So let's go to what adultery is, because you can even see, I'm giving you like a physical kind of evidence, like a today evidence of these things. That's why I'm playing this video, to show you how another nation, show you how it works, without just words, but just showing you, them having a documentary, how they're running stuff. Now, what's adultery? When a man lays with another man's wife. Now, if a man has 2 wives, he can have 2 wives that were single at one point in time, never known no man, and that he took both of them and they're his wives. But if you lay with another man's wife, that's adultery, and they finna show you. So there's a difference, because remember, they just said these men can have multiple wives. This king was married 3 times. Another king had 22 wives. But this is what adultery is.
Act swiftly. 19-year-old Princess Michelle found this out in a tragic event that happened in 1977. She was forced to marry at a young age, and despite being separated and living apart from her husband, he refused to divorce her. Sources report...
Salaki, remember that it says she was forced to marry at a young age. So how young was she when she was forced to be married? We're going to come back to that.
That he stayed married to her because he wanted to keep the prestige that went along with being a part of the royal family. She later fell in love with the Saudi ambassador to Lebanon, a man named Khalid. When the House of Saud found out that she had been cheating on her husband, she and Khalid were publicly executed. Her passing was detailed in a documentary called...
So she was publicly executed. This is the same thing what it's talking about in the Bible. They should be put to death, and it would be publicly to be as an example for the rest of the people, not to commit adultery. She was cheating. What did it mean when they said she was cheating? She committed adultery. Now, it was normal. Remember, it said it was normal for the kings to have multiple wives, so that's showing you the difference. Men can have multiple wives. Women cannot have multiple husbands. That's adultery. As you see in this case, the kings and everybody had multiple wives. But once the wife stepped out on her husband and cheated with another man, committed adultery, she got put to death publicly, and they're going to tell you why.
death of a princess and caused outrage across the country, but the royal family wasn't done just yet. After a 2012 fight in a desert camp, Prince Turki committed a heinous act against another man. The higher-ups believed they had to send out a strong message to the young descendants of the family to let them know they weren't above the law.
See, they had to send out a message to them. That's why it's done publicly. Here it goes in Deuteronomy chapter 22, verse 22, right? It says, if a man be found lying with a woman married to a husband, this is adultery. If a man be found lying with a woman that's already married to a husband, then they both should be, it says, then they should both of them die. Both the man that lay with the woman and the woman, so shall thou put evil away from Israel. So us being Israelites, if a man lie with a woman that's already married, that already has a husband, they both should be put to death. You see what I'm saying? But there's different scenarios. So you say, but what if this happened? What if that happened? Okay, so let's go through some of those scenarios. What if she's raped or whatever? You see what I'm saying? Verse 23. If a damsel, in the apostle to her, he had pulled this scripture too, on his video Strange Law. So it actually happened to be very edifying. 23. If a damsel that is a virgin be betrothed unto the husband, and a man find her in the city and lie with her. So she got a husband, a man find her, and lie with her. Then he shall bring them both out into the gate of that city, and ye shall stone them with stones that they die. The damsel, because she cried not. So she didn't yell. It wasn't rape. It was pleasure to her. She was going along with it. She didn't cry out for help and stuff like that. So it wasn't rape. Being in the city, and the man, because he has humbled his neighbor's wife. What does mean humble? He slept with her. So thou shalt put away evil from among Israel. This is evil. But if a man find a betrothed damsel in the field, and the man forces her, so he rapes her, and lie with her, then the man only that lay with her should die, right? Why? But unto the damsel thou shall do nothing. So you don't do nothing to the damsel. There is in the damsel no sin worthy of death. For as when a man rises against his neighbor and slayeth him, even so is this matter, right? For he found her in the field, and the betrothed damsel cried, and there was none to save her. So she cried out for help, but she just didn't get saved, so he forced her. So if I got a wife, if a man forces rape her, and she cries out and stuff like that, then he'd just be put to death, and she wouldn't. She'd be spared. There's no sin with her. But if she goes with him, and they commit adultery, and they're cheating behind my back and stuff multiple times, and not really just, even if it's just one time, I'm just throwing multiple times in there, but even if it's just one time, and she doesn't cry for help, it's not rape, then they both be put to death. And it would be done publicly to serve as an example, as we see here. Let's let a little bit more of this play. Let me find the spot that I want to find. Okay, so right here, right? So there's more on here, right? So it says, if a man finds a damsel that is a virgin, so this is a damsel, but she's a virgin. So what does damsel mean? Damsel means a young woman. There's a virgin which is not betrothed, and lay hold on her and lie with her, and they be found. Then this is very controversial. This is the one where people feelings come into it, right? Then the man that lay with her should give into the damsel father 50 shekels of silver. And see, that's what I'm saying. So it's very profitable to have daughters and sons. Sons as your inheritance, as Deuteronomy 21 says. And then Deuteronomy 22, verse 29, look, if a man lays with her, he got to get the father 50 shekels of silver, and shall be his wife, because he has humbled her. He may not put her away all his days. So if he finds a woman that doesn't have a husband, or is not betrothed meaning that she's not selected or chosen to be a man's wife already, he goes and rape her, he has to give the father 50 shekels of silver, and she has to be his husband, and he can't put her away. He has to be with this woman for the rest of his life. In verse 30, and a man should not take his father's wife, nor discover his father's skirt, because that's adultery. Anyways, but you see, so yes, if the Israelite man go rape an Israelite woman, or if a man goes rape a woman, he's not put to death for that. If she's not betrothed to another man, if she's betrothed to another man, or she's married to another man, then he's put to death. But if she's not, if she's a single woman, she's never been with another man, she's not planned to be scheduled, to marry another man, well then he's not put to death for that. He just has to pay the father, and then he has to be with that woman for the rest of his life. See, and people say that, well, rape is a bad thing. You can't rape. But look what this just said. This is coming from the Bible. You got to take your feelings out of it. You got to take the way that you're looking at it from a Western civilization, and you have to kind of come from a biblical stance. You got to look at it from a biblical stance, because this is the right way to look at it. The way we running things today is the wrong way, which hints at why the Lord is coming back to destroy this place. If this place was such right, then he wouldn't be coming back to destroy it, right? But if you go through the Bible, it talks about the second death on the world. He's coming back to destroy it because it's wicked. So let's go into this even more. What is a damsel? Because now we know a man could rape a woman if she's not married to another man or betrothed to another man. He could rape her. He has to pay the father, and he has to keep her. So what is a damsel woman? How young would these women be? How young could we get women, right? Because that's another big topic. Some people say they have to be 18. You going off America because America says that. That's not true. And I'm going to show you an example of it, of how it's not true in different places of the world. People get on R. Kelly. He was sleeping with 14-year-old women. 14-year-old girls and stuff like that. So let's see how young a damsel woman is, right? Because remember, this is talking about, this whole chapter I just read was talking about the damsels, right? So let's play this first.
Own personal helicopter. Sadly, that all changed once their mother left and fled to London to get away from the king. She was forced to marry him when she was 15 and he was 48. Because she gave birth to 4 daughters and was unable to give him any sons, she was told she was useless.
It's a great thing to have sons, because a man wants a son to pass down his inheritance to. But like they said, she married him when she was forced, meaning she was betrothed. That's what betrothed means. To marry this man at 14 years old. She would have been considered a damsel woman. He was 47 years old. Did he get taken down from his position for it? Did he go to jail for it like they trying to do with R. Kelly? No, he didn't. So she was forced to marry him at 14 years old. You think they didn't have a ceremony and stuff, and people attended, and people were condemning this. People were going along with this. People was applauding that she was becoming his wife. You see what I'm saying? At 14, he was 47 years old. Let that stick in, right? So what is a damsel woman? Let's leave this here, and then we're going to pull up the definition. Okay, so right here we got, this is Wikipedia, right? And this is a damsel woman. This is the definition. The word damsel derives from French demoiselle, which really a lot of these words really go back farther than that. The French, where did the French get it from? It really goes back to the ancient Hebrew. It says, and the term damsel in distress, and it meaning young lady. This is what damsel mean. It means a young lady, a young woman, a young girl. That's what the word damsel mean. So hold that, and let's see how young is a damsel. This is another definition on dictionary.com. A young woman or girl, a maiden, right? So hold that. This is from the Bible. So we come out the Bible to prove things, right? If you say you love God, you believe in the Lord, do you believe his words? Where are they found? In the Bible. So let's go. These ain't my words. This is the word in the Bible, right? But these are words that I go along with because I truly believe and follow the Lord. This is Mark 5. This is Mark chapter 5. Just jump down to verse 41. Let's see how young could a damsel be. Right here. Let's get straight to the point. Verse 41. And he took the damsel by the hand. A damsel, right? He took the damsel by the hand and said unto her, Talitha cumi, which is being interpreted damsel. So there you go. It goes back to the Hebrew. I say unto thee, arise. And straightway the damsel arose and walked, for she was the age of 12 years. And they were astonished with great astonish, and he charged them straitly that no man should know it, and command that something should be given her to eat. So a damsel was 12 years old. That's how young a damsel could be. And it doesn't really tell us exactly how young they could be. They could be even younger. But we know that the age 12 and up, all the way probably to 20, something like that, a young woman, that could be considered a damsel. So when we get, here, let me jump back here. Nope, I'm gonna stay right here. I want you to see it and read it over and over again. Mark chapter 5. This is in the Gospels, right? And it says a damsel. It gives an example of a damsel, and she was 12 years old. So when we go back to Deuteronomy 22, and it says, and we jump to 28, and it says, if a man finds a damsel, if he finds a young woman, this young woman that he finds could be 12 years old, that is a virgin, which is not betrothed, and lay hold on her and lie with her, and they be found, then the man that lay with her should give into the damsel father 50 shekels of silver. I'm gonna leave that right there. Oh no, and she shall be his wife, meaning he gonna pop her more. He ain't just gonna pop her that one time. He gonna continue popping her because now she's his wife. Because he has humbled her, meaning he has sex with her. He may not put her away all his days. So for the rest of her life and his life, that's his wife. He gonna continue popping his wife, having children with her. And the damsel, she could be 14 years, she could be 12 years old right here. Or like I like the example I showed you, the real life example I showed you with the king of Saudi Arabia. That lady was forced to be married to him at the age of 14, and she bare him 4 daughters. Here, let me jump back to that, matter of fact.
That included a helipad for their own personal helicopter. Sadly, that all changed once their mother left and fled to London to get away from the king. She was forced to marry him when she was 15 and he was 48 because she...
Okay, when she was 15, he was 40. Wait, did it say 48?
Helipad for their own personal helicopter. Sadly, that all changed once their mother left and fled to London to get away from the king. She was forced to marry him when she was 15 and he was 48.
Okay, I had the numbers wrong. But 15 and he was 48, not 47. And she was 15, not 14. But same thing though. Same exact thing. She was forced to marry him at 15. So a lot of y'all gonna say, well, that's just what they doing over there. They wicked, and say all that. Of course y'all gonna say that. But I showed you in the Bible a damsel being 12 years old. I showed you what happens if a man rapes a woman. He could keep her to be his wife, and we know a damsel could be all the way at the age of 12 years old, going back to Mark 5. So you kind of get out your feelings. They call these strange laws. It's strange to Israel right now, but it ain't going to be strange to us in the kingdom. We going to know this stuff is going to be in our inward parts and outward parts. So this is the law, right? This is the law that I'm reading. Okay, so let's see if we going to keep these things, if we going to do these things in the kingdom. This is this is Jeremiah chapter 30, what? Starting at verse 31. Behold the day comes, say the Lord, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers, in the day that I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt. Because Yahweh is changes, like Yahweh is the ultimate sacrifice for us, but we still gonna keep those laws, statutes, and commandments. Because watch, it says, which my covenant they break, although I was a husband unto them, sake the Lord. But this should be a covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, sake the Lord. I will put my laws, and those laws in Deuteronomy belongs to the Lord. He came down and gave them to Moses and to the Israelites in their inward parts. So he's gonna put these same laws in the inward parts and write them on their hearts, and I will be their God, and they should be my people. You see what I'm saying? Okay, and then you say, okay, well, he said a new covenant, so it's going to be different. It's going to be different. This is Matthew's chapter. Here, let me jump straight to it. This is Matthew's chapter 5, starting at verse 17. Think not that I come to destroy the law or the prophets. So if Yahweh was said to destroy the law, and it was a new law that was going to be a new covenant that was going to be different, a lot different than the old covenant, then he would have came to destroy it, and he would have put up the new covenant. The new covenant, we're gonna be under the same law, statutes, and commandments. He says, or the prophets, I come not to destroy, but to fulfill. For verily I say unto you, to heaven and earth be passed, one jot or one tittle should no wise pass from the law to all be fulfilled. So not one jot or one tittle should pass from the law, right? So if a man rapes a woman, if she's 12 years old, a young damsel woman, he got to keep her to be a wife. That's a part of the law. He got to pay the father 50 shekels. That should no wise pass, like he said. And this is the point, verse 19. Whoever so therefore should break one of these least commandments and should teach them, so he should be called the least in the kingdom of heaven. So if the kingdom of heaven is just a whole different new law, statutes, commandments, why is this man going to be called the least in the kingdom of heaven for breaking the laws that we're under right now? Because it's going to be the same laws. But whosoever should do and teach them. So like me, I'm keeping these laws, the law, statutes, and commandments, and I'm teaching you like I just did. Hopefully, it's been edifying. The same should be called great in the kingdom of heaven. So if I'm gonna be called great in the kingdom of heaven for teaching these laws and doing them, why is it when the kingdom of heaven comes, it's just all going to be switched up and thrown out? No, it's the same law, statutes, and commandments. It's just the Lord pretty much giving us a second chance. We're going back under a new covenant with the Lord, but the difference between the old covenant and the new covenant is that we're going to be perfect in following the covenant. He's going to change us and he's going to put it in our inward parts, like Jeremiah 31, verse 31 says. So you got to get out your feeling, keep the law, statutes, and commandments, salvation to the elect. Shalom.